All right, all right, all right. How's everybody doing this Sunday morning? I hope you guys are doing well. If you've never been to my channel and this is your first morning or your first time being here, welcome. My name is 12 Gauge. I am your host. If you've been here before, thank you for continuing to come back and giving the channel your attention, your grace, and the ability to continue doing this for you. 51 degrees in your area. Wow. That means it's really cooling down. Fall is around the corner. So this morning I wanted to get on here and I wanted to talk a little bit, not really about true crime, but just on a lot of things that have been on my mind lately. And I'm going to try to keep it as positive as possible. But when we're dealing with true crime, can't always be positive all the time. Because there's a lot of things that go on the streets that inhabit that from being possible. It's almost like a competition to see who can get the best dirt, who can get the best rhetoric out there, so that other people seem to flock to the dysfunction of certain cases. I've done multiple cases this week, as well as some of the old ones, and it just appears like, you know, true crime is just a place for the mysteriousness of the unknown to be manifested in people's minds, to be able to be regurgitated and spit out in their own reality. And it's very interesting that, you listen to people and their input on certain things. It's just so one dimensional. There's not much thought on it. And I've watched some creators that really have some great insight. And you might not like these creators, but I was watching Titanium Built last night, and she has a lot of good things to say. It seems like she thinks before she speaks. She doesn't just stick to a narrative, and she doesn't try to just appease the masses, but she's actually thinking about certain things before she speaks. Another one is Chickbait. You know, they're they're really working hard trying to get their narrative out there of their understanding, and it's well appreciated to see people giving it much thought rather than just following certain narratives that other people have already followed or might be have mentioned, and just kind of paving their own path. I want to talk about integrity today. I want to start off with it because integrity is a big deal. It is a big deal when it comes to, I don't know why it's so small. It's a big deal whenever you're dealing with, oh, that's a little bigger. Okay, it says integrity is a moral compass that guides people's actions and decisions, and it has many purposes, including social harmony. Integrity is a fundamental part of social harmony and healthy communities. It helps to create safe spaces for social correct connection. Ethical decision making. Integrity helps people make decisions that align with their values and principles. It's a critical factor in ethical decision making. Building trust. Integrity is vital for building and maintaining trust and credibility. It helps people to be a good example to others, inspiring respect, admiration, and trust. Mental health. People who act in line with their values experience improved mental health and emotional stability. Sense of autonomy. People with high integrity are most likely to have a sense of autonomy, which is the freedom to make choices that align with their values. Workplace culture. Integrity can help to foster a positive culture in the workplace. Self esteem. Lacking integrity can damage self esteem because people often fail to trust themselves. Integrity is a personal choice and a commitment to honor moral, ethical, spiritual, and artistic values and principles. So there's integrity right there. And, when it comes to integrity, many times people talk about it, they might preach on it, they might create scenarios about it, but whatever you value is what you're going to present, not only in your real life, but as far as these YouTube street that we talk about. If you have little to no integrity in what you do or what you say, and you're always blaming or making excuses for your decisions, that means that you really don't have a lot of integrity in real life. You don't hold accountability for things that you say. You just say them. And then later on, when you're called to the carpet, you make excuses, you blame, you gaslight, you you create a narrative that is sympathetic to your cause. And most of the time, people forgive because they like you as a person, they like you as an individual, and they really don't value what it is that you did that went against moral ethical values. I I believe that one thing that people forget about the power that we have as creators on these platforms is we have the power to either build up or we have the power to tear down. And many times I believe that people forget that. They forget that we have the power to tear down even with our words. We can say I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I should have thought it out better. But once the words are said, you can't unhear it. And that's a tragedy sometimes whenever certain people are listening. In one of the cases, a coroner was very thought of harshly because she contacted the minor child of one of the families and discussed the findings of her sister's murder. People jumped on that very quickly, but it's often almost humorous how we can be so self-righteous when it comes to others' behaviors and actions, but when it comes to our own, we hold ourselves to a higher realm of consciousness. And we forget that sometimes we do the very same thing that we're accusing other people of being. We don't show with love or grace when we talk to people. We put them down. We make fun of them. We call them names. And most people congratulate that. They say you're just too soft. You should grow a thicker skin. That was funny. But is it really funny to make fun of another person, to joke at their expense, to bully them, to run around acting like you are superior because You spend so much time researching. No, it's not. Integrity is a big deal when it comes to the way you present yourself at your job, around your kids' friends, around your own friends, even the way you interact with your significant other if you have one, or the way you present yourself to strangers on the street, the way you walk into a store. Can you be trusted? Do you put yourself in a light where you can be trusted? You not only say things that you're going to do, but you follow through with those things that you say that you're going to do. You know, it's understanding that people are fallible and we fall short, but we always cannot use that as an excuse when we hurt another person. And you say 12, how do you speak so openly on this? Are you perfect? I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm not. I never have been, and I've never wanted to be. I hurt a lot of people throughout my lifetime, and that's how I know how easy it is to destroy another with your words because you might be joking, you might be trying to sound intellectual around certain people, and at the same time, you're tearing them down with your words, and your actions are saying, well, we're just joking. Don't take it to heart. But when you look in their eyes and you see that pain, you understand. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a joke to them. It wasn't a joke. And you never know who is healing from certain things or who is healed through certain things. And you just rip open that wound once again. You know, as a therapist, I can see things on these YouTube streets that just make me cringe sometimes, not in judgment, but just in moments where I realize exactly what the person is doing and how they're harming the masses. That's why when I speak, I try to think before I say what's coming out of my mouth. I don't just randomly run things to get clicks and views, but I take the time to research before I present things. Am I going to fall short? Of course. Am I always on point? Of course not. But you know, one thing that I do understand is anything that I say and do has consequences. You know, I always heard just because you can say it doesn't mean that it always needs to be said. And that's a huge statement right there because it's true. Just because we have the freedom to say something does not always mean that we should say it. And just because you believe that you're smarter than somebody else does not necessarily make it true to the person who is actually smarter than you. You know, I take these Sunday mornings not only to reflect, but to, excuse me, to give a little feedback that I don't really give during the lives that I do. because otherwise we'd have 3 hour, 4 hour, 5 hour lives because I'd be talking more than I'd be presenting. And I'm happy that people will continue to show up in the chats, to listen, to observe, to see if this channel really does have integrity, if it really does have the understanding of what the pulse of true crime is. And I hope that I have plugged into the pulse because some of the stuff that I see and hear, it just so maliciously stated, and it's hurtful. You know, it's like beating up your girlfriend because you came home drunk, or your wife, and cussing them out and saying all this ugly stuff about them. And then the next day, because you learned that the neighbors heard everything you said and did, and you want to save face, you go around apologizing for it, but kind of making excuses at the same time. An apology is something that is heartfelt, and you still don't lean on your understanding of what made you do it, if that makes any sense at all. Just because you apologize for it does not mean that it erases the fact that you hurt somebody, that you were able to gain some distrust because of your actions. One time, shame on you. Two times, shame on me. Have you ever heard that? Chat, have you ever heard that saying? Because it happens. You know, are we human? Of course. But can we merely say, I made a mistake? Let's look over it, especially when it's barbaric and heinous as the original crime, and you present it as if the whole community wanted to relive this crime through your narrative, and the fact that you were laughing and even gloating that you had some insider information that nobody else has, that is not only illegal because there is a gag order, it's sickening sometimes the extent that people go to be relevant. The things that people assume by their understanding of a video, a picture, a diary entry. You know, I was watching somebody read a diary entry from one of the cases that is very prevalent and is spoke on daily. And this individual was crying, or a fake crying, as they read it. And I was thinking, if your mental health is that fragile that you have to cry while you're reading something, you shouldn't be doing it on camera. You shouldn't have your voice projected to the people that follow you. You know, because as creators, we should be an example to lead in integrity, not an example so that people feel sorry for us or that they view your channel as more dramatic. It's sad sometimes. This world has little to no integrity sometimes. And if you call somebody out on their stuff, they want to attack you. They want to be a bully because they want to instill their own will on you to believe as they believe, or otherwise you're an outcast. Well, I've been an outcast all my life. You're not showing me anything I don't already know. I'd rather be an outcast for all the right reasons than be a follower of misinformation for all the right. And that's why I do what I do. People say, "Are you a really honest person?" Yes, I am. Everything I say, you can better believe that I back it up. I don't back it up by cussing people out, by calling them names, by doing all the childish antics. I can have a conversation with somebody and still they feel like I just cussed them out and called them names at the very end. But to most people, if you confront them, they become very violent because they're defending a lie. If you notice when people become violent or aggressive towards you and they raise their voice and are trying to demean you, that usually means that they're lying or that whatever it is they're trying to defend, you have tapped into that and you have challenged it. So they're going to try to use anger as control to control you and to change your narrative, you know? No, they don't like the truth. They don't like your truth. Another thing that really I don't understand the push behind certain cases is when people are talking about getting justice for the victim. We need to get justice for so and so. Justice for so and so. Well, how are you getting justice for this person? It's all you're doing is attacking the other side. That is not justice. Justice would mean that you're actively looking to see how you can make their memory better, not following along with other people's narrative that you hang out with that are talking about them being in this organization or having this type of web page online or being this or that or the other. You still associate yourself with those people. How are you getting justice for the victims if you're victimizing them every chance you get? It doesn't work that way. And that's for any case on here. Justice for the victim, justice for the victim. But yet, you're victimizing their families. You're victimizing the people that are searching for them. You're victimizing the people that have actually cared enough to put up billboards for them. You're victimizing all these people that care because they don't believe in your narrative. That is not justice. You talk about mob mentalities, you talk about a witch hunt, you talk about all this stuff. But that's exactly what people do whenever the mass majority does not follow their narrative. They click together and mob mentalities the other side. I believe it's sad. I haven't followed the Sebastian Rogers case in a while, but I believe it's sad how that case has played out all these months. All the mudslinging, all the people that want to get involved. There's a creator that donate to billboards or gives out of their own pocket. I don't know whichever one. That is trying to find justice for that child. I understand that a lot of people might not have a lot of money, but if you have a channel, you get revenue if you're monetized. So instead of using that money for your own personal gains or your bills, print up some flyers, hand them out, scan them, put them all over the internet, donate to agencies that are out there searching. But many won't do that. But they'll get on here day in and day out talking about justice for the victims. Justice for the victims. And I'm not above that. I do want justice for the victim, but at this point, the only justice assistance that I can do is to educate people in the process. Is that a lot? Probably not to y'all's eyes or ears, but at least I'm trying to be proactive in a positive way rather than being in a negative light, trying to destroy the memories of the people that are either missing or have been murdered or have domestic abuse throughout their lives. There's different ways to get justice for these victims. And one of the ways is not focusing so much on the person that hurt them. You might believe a certain way, but sometimes you shouldn't be so proactive for the person that supposedly hurt these people. You know? And it just terrible. It's just terrible how these narratives are pushed. How these individuals can sleep at night. I get why one creator hardly sleeps. I wouldn't be able to sleep with all the shit that I spew out either. That was just for clicks and views. And then laughing and cackling after spitting it out while you're trying to apologize to the masses about maybe you misspoke. Maybe you should have taken your words a little different. No, maybe you shouldn't have said a fucking thing about it. How about that? How about not getting on every day and talking about this when you don't have the real knowledge of what needs to be spread? But that's your own consciousness you're gonna have to deal with, bro. Many other people can come to your aid and defended you and band-aided you. I think it's crap. And then you have the audacity to say, well, there's plenty of other people that have posted or said similar stuff and they're not being called out. What are you, 2 years old? Well, he did it too, so that excuses my behavior. Come on. Take some accountability. We see the gray hair on your chin, so that means that you're older. And the fact that you can't take accountability says that you're either not that smart or you just don't care. You know? You just don't care. Well, they did it. There's other people that are just as bad. Yeah, and you have them on your panel. You're gonna have one on your panel on the 27th. Birds of a feather flock together, right? And you can say I'm judging you. You judge yourself by the actions you take. It creates people to give you validation or disgust. You know? It's just terrible. It's just terrible. But that's the world in which we live today. Have you ever wondered if this was your family member that had gone missing and people instantly dove into your family dynamic without permission? You know, they instantly just started doxing you and running with your name and all this other stuff and found out all this stuff about you and aligned and said, well, this person's a bad parent. This person's a good parent. This person at least cares about their kid. This person doesn't care. And they're married to a piece of crap. So I don't know if we should respect their word or not. You know, it's sad, but it happens more often than not. A crime happens and instantly people just make a decision about either the family or the situation and they click up and they just stay on that narrative forever. But like I said, people are people, but it doesn't excuse it. At one particular point, you want to be taken seriously? How about giving other people some grace instead of cussing them out, calling them names, and stealing your will in these chat rooms? Most of you can't even show your face. But you surely are tough behind that avatar, you know? It's just a sad, sad state of mind. A sad state of mind. Integrity is something that is worked for, something that is fed on a daily basis, not for others, but for you. You can't even hit a like to the fact that I present anything. Well, do me a favor, hit that dislike button because the fact that you're not hitting the like tells me that you dislike it. So go ahead and hit it. I'm not offended one bit. I'd rather see 86 dislikes than 10 likes when there's been 97 people viewing it. You know what I'm saying? People talk about being real on these streets and on these channels. But if you're really real, YouTube is not your world. YouTube is not your life. You have life outside of YouTube. You know? You have life outside of YouTube, or you should. You know, and just like everybody else, I'm not perfect. I go through things in my daily life, but most of the time you don't hear about them. You don't know what I deal with on a daily because it's none of your business. you know? If I'm struggling financially, it's none of your business. You shouldn't have to support me. You shouldn't. You shouldn't know anything about me other than what I choose to share. You shouldn't know about anything I go through because once I start putting that stuff out there, I'm pulling on your heartstrings. You get what I'm saying? And when I pull on your heartstrings, that's when you want to send donations and money. But once again, let them be them, and I'll continue to be me. You know, great people don't get great by having the masses supporting them. Great people become great because they have limited people that believe in them and they overcome through the obstacles and they get to the point where they're great based on what they do, not what other people view them as. So try to remember that. Try to remember that. You know, it's just terrible the way that this community, it talks about wanting to be united and it talks about wanting to be, empowering for the victims. But I've seen so many of my friends that I call friends now go into many of these chats and they're either blocked, ridiculed, or ganged up on because they don't have the same beliefs that the people that are pushing them. And the people on the panel are even chastising them. I saw a video the other day of a certain person that I just talk about a lot because it bothers me. This person was bragging about starting a rumor. And I don't know if it was true, this video, but they were bragging about starting a rumor in one of the cases. And they were even laughing and cackling and smoking that cigarette. And they're always wanting the world to know that they started this or they thought of this or him and this other person discussed this first. Does it really matter? If you need attention that bad, get you a different hobby. You know? Adults should not have to crave attention that badly. Adults should be okay with who they are, their status in life, and to have other things that are more meaningful than being on a panel, having people tell you how great you are, or how awesome your content is. Not that it's not appreciated, but that shouldn't be your self-esteem booster. It shouldn't. You should have your ability to be happy within yourself. you know, thank you so much for you guys being in the chat. Dark Square, Elizabeth, Rondi, Aquarius, and some others. Let me scroll up here. When I started this channel, I had some people that I would put on my panel, or they would come in and They would come and chat and they'd, be cordial and they'd respect my channel. It doesn't mean that I still don't go in their channels and I give their chat, a hi or whatever because they're working hard and they're not about the BS. They're about honestly trying to find answers. They're not about trying to change cases. They're not about trying to solve the equation. They're about honestly trying to find answers, you know? Integrity is a huge word that many cannot understand. And I'm going to tell you something. I've been a therapist for 24 years. I have a license to do it, not just a certificate. I have a licensure in the state of Texas. I have a degree to do it. I'm going on my bachelor's to do criminal justice. So to assume that I don't have the qualification to be speaking on some of the stuff that I do, you're mildly mistaken. I have a lot of job experience. I have a lot of working with the criminal justice system. I have a lot of working with the federal government, the Bureau of Pardons, the Bureau of Prisons. I've worked with a lot of different agencies. So when I speak on certain things, I'm not just speaking on my own behalf. I'm speaking on the experience that I've gained throughout life. And does it mean that you can't have life experience without the degrees and licensures? Of course you can. But you listen to people and you can tell who honestly has that life experience and who has seen too many movies and who has seen too many books, read too many books about fictional stuff. And honestly, there should be a sub channel about true crime. There should be true crime and then there should be fictional true crime. Because the fictional true crime would be about creative writing and, people that create stories and things that people can flock to. At least you be respected in that arena because what you're presenting in true crime is not really true crime. It's just a narrative that you decide to push. And like I said, it's a creative energy that you're pushing out there that how could it ever be relevant? Can you imagine Dateline or The First 48 or any of those shows pushing some of the stuff that these creators push out there? They'd be canceled within the first couple of weeks because a lot of it is not research. It just spit out there as facts. I've had so many people come into the comments or come into the chats and want to challenge me because they heard something from another creator that they view as factual that goes against what I'm talking about and basically calling me an idiot and a liar. I've had people accuse me of pushing false narratives because of my belief system. Do I attack them back? No. It's not worth it. Because in the end, the truth will set you free. And one day we're going to get the truth. And then if you still believe the nonsense, that's just you. That's just you. But if you really want justice for people, how can you believe somebody who wants to talk about the horrific things that went on to these four people in such a vivid way, and you respect that? That's justice for you? To hear how awful these people were murdered, that is justice for you? You know? That's not justice. Finding out what happened, who did it, is not justice. Justice is to hold their memory alive and not make fun of their families and not make fun of the organizations that have been formed for them and the scholarships and the things that are positive that are being tried to keep their memories alive. The meditation center. I've seen nothing but chastise about all these things. But yet you want justice for the victims. How does it work that way? It doesn't. But at the same time, you blame mainstream media for being one dimensional, and you're just the same. So you spot it, you got it. Actually, some YouTubers are worse than mainstream media. At least they have a filter. At least they don't get on there just for views to try to give you the most grotesque narrative they can manifest in their minds. I have a vivid imagination. I could get on here day in and day out and spit hundreds of narratives, spin a web so deeply that people would not know where it began or where it ended. But I don't do that for one simple reason. I don't like to hurt people. I don't like to deceive people. I don't like to lie to people. I don't want to have to say I'm sorry. I've said that so many times in my lifetime and still did the same thing after I apologized for it. That doesn't that doesn't mount to a hill of beans. It's insanity, those people that believe your apology and continue to have faith in you, and you continue to mislead them and misguide them, and you continue to hurt them with your words, with your narratives, with your beliefs. I'm not even talking about values because obviously your values aren't valuable enough to keep from hurting your viewers. I stand behind what I say, and I know how y'all work. Y'all take a video, y'all record it, y'all flash it on a screen, and you sit there and chuckle as you're talking about the person, and you're yelling of your false anger and all this other stuff. If that's what you need to do, go right ahead and do it. I'm unfazed. Call me names. Use your mob mentality that you talk about so many other people have, but it's clear who has the mob mentality in these chats. You can smile to the camera and you can laugh and joke, but the smart ones know that's just an act. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. You call it a duck. Simple as that. And I'm not even going into that while you make your money and all that. I don't care what you do for your money. I'm not in your pocketbook. I'm not in your life that deeply. Like I said, I'm over here trying to mind mine, but I have to watch yours because so many people talk about it. So many people are discussing it. There's apologies all over the YouTube streets. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. You sound like a politician. I'm not going to raise taxes. And then you raise taxes and then you say, well, I'm sorry I raised taxes. I had to because of this or that and the other. Well, why did you say you weren't going to raise taxes in the first place? You're just a low key liar. Just a low key liar. And this isn't just aimed at one person, it's a multitude of people wrapped into one. As I say, this is a multitude of a conundrum wrapped in an enigma of endless infinity. You know? On the positive, I hope that you did hear some positive in there because there was positive in there. There was positive in there. One other thing, I'm not stupid whenever I see people that come into my chat that are in your chat that have never been in here and they're just listening to see if I mention your name or if I mention you at all. Well, just watch some of my videos. You'll see if I mention you or not. You're not blocked. Go ahead and listen to what I say about you. I hold no qualms about it. I don't name you because I don't believe that you deserve that much respect. If I respected you, I'd spit your name out there, but I don't believe that you deserve that much respect. So therefore, you're going to continue to be nameless. I hope the rest of you watch this either on replay or are watching it live. I hope that you either like or dislike it. Like I said, do me a favor. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. I want to know. Don't just come in here and lurk around and then bounce. Hit one or the other. I want to know. And you're not going to hurt my feelings if you hit the dislike button. Not one bit. There's plenty of stuff on here in my library. Hey Cash, how you doing this morning? There's plenty of stuff in my library. Plenty of cases. There's that one case that we can't get enough of. I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. And try to understand that I'm not trying to alienate myself from the YouTube community. I've tried to integrate it into it. And there's just a select few of people that I trust. The others, they show their true colors by their actions. There's a reason they are where they're at, and there's a reason why they do what they do. I hope that you enjoy my content enough to continue to come back. This was not true crime related. This was not Serenity related. It was just me basically just talking. I'm headed to work out. You guys have a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy the football games if you're into the NFL. Or just relax. Have an awesome day. Tomorrow starts another week. Another opportunity to be great. Till we meet again, my friends. This is 12 Gauge. And I ask you, can you dig it? Can you really dig what I serve? If not, get you a bigger shovel. Maestro, cue that music.